this is going to sound like a dumb question. How do you perfect directional punting?
It's really just figuring out your line that you're going to walk in. I mean, because every punt really is a straight punt. You're just changing the angle you're walking. So once you kind of get that figured out of what works for you and you can get it most consistently to where you want it, then you just kind of keep repeating it.
Is there a direction that's easier for you in terms of kicking either to your right or to your left?
I'm a little more comfortable going to my left, and my ball usually tends to fade off to the left anyway. So, if I don't start it off at the angle I want to, usually that fade will save me and kind of get it outside the numbers like I want. So, and vice versa on the right. Say I don't start it inside as much as I want to. If it starts, the ball flight goes towards the numbers, chances are it's going to land top of the numbers, which ain't really what I want. So I got to kind of find that median between, going a hard angle to the right, but not going too much to the right. So in case I pull it, it's not shooting, straight out of bounds. So, but I mean, I'm good either way.
So what's the goal with those? Is it to put it near the sideline so there's no return, or is it to kick it out of bounds?
For me personally, I would like it to be, about a yard out of bounds. Brett Kern in Tennessee does a great job of that. He's someone I studied a lot, and if you watch him, he doesn't, have top of the league hang times, but he'll hit it 50 yards, half a yard out of bounds almost every time. So kind of getting that, you eliminate the return. Just if, the return team happens to get, great holdups on the outside with the vice, on the gunners, then even if, sometimes you get, that ball on the sideline, they're still going to return it. In college, I had we were playing Texas A&M and had a 60-yard punt that the guy caught on the hash on the sideline and returned it 90 yards for a touchdown. So out of bounds is, just eliminates that.
So it's just about trying to find a happy medium so you don't kick a 35-yarder out of bounds, right?
Yeah. You want just that tail end of the punt to end up out of bounds, yeah.
This question might go nowhere, but you talk to a pitcher in baseball, and there's a lot of ways that they can throw a pitch. Probably the same with a quarterback and throwing the ball. How many different ways can you punt the football?
There's a couple different, especially, the Australian punters got a lot of different things they can do just playing Aussie rules football growing up. But, a lot of it is, you got your pooch punts, banana punts, and then your regular punts, and then really it goes into being able to give those misdirections where you're facing one way and then you pull it back the other. It's kind of it. So, there's not too many that you can do, but it's, then it kind of gets into trying to throw off the returner, and that's really the only difference.
So when you're coming up, which is the most difficult to perfect?
I've never really done it just because I don't think I need to, and I worry about shanking it. If I was showing left and then try to hit a normal punt back to the right, that's something Hecker does pretty well, and I've messed with it here and there, and it's just not something that I'll probably ever do.
So when you're angling it towards the sideline, are you still swinging away as hard as you can, or do you have to hold back a little bit in order to get that direction that you're looking for?
Oh no, I'm still going after it. Yeah. Because if you pull off at all, that messes up the timing of the kick and everything. So you got to just be confident in what you do and just swing away. Yeah.
So most of us in here have been covering the team for a long time, some for a really long time.
Are you looking at me?
I did. Only 14 for me, but we've never seen a punter like you here. We're all kind of blown away with 45, 50-yard punts, I'm just curious, how do you think you're doing? But you're like the greatest punter we've ever seen.
Well, I don't know about that, but
well, it's true.
I think I'm doing all right. I think there's a lot of room for improvement for me. And I'm always going to think that. It kind of helps me stay away from complacency. So I think I started off pretty well, but I think there's definitely a lot more that I can do to help this team.
Like what? What can you do better than
more hang time on the punt, trying to force fair catches. Because, even if I hit a 50-yard punt, but he's getting a 10-yard return, 40 net's not bad, but it's not what I want to do. So if I can cause fair catches at 50 yards, that 10 yards, can make a huge difference. So just little things like that is what I'm trying to improve on.
So I appreciate you pointing out all of that. So you had that punt against the Lions where you pinned it right on the sideline, and the guy ended up getting like a 10-yard return. So for you, you're looking at that as not good enough, right?
Correct. Yeah.
For Bill and I, and I'm talking 26 years of punters, is we have not seen placement like practice, and you hear coaches, special teams coaches, talk about it all the time, how much they want it, and I'm sure all the guys that we've seen around here have tried, but they haven't been, and I know it's only 3 games.
Yeah.
I know you got more work to do.
It's still early. Yeah.
But, you know, at what point did you realize that that was going to be a really important part of getting to where you wanted to be as a punter? Because you've got a big leg and everything else.
Mhm.
But is that, do you think that's your signature? And when did you start to really hone it up?
I mean, I've always kind of been, you know, like the big ball punter, which is great, but if you're hitting it 65 yards and they're returning it 20, it's kind of pointless, you know, in my opinion. And so I think just maturing as a punter, realizing like, you know, if I can hit a 60-yard punt to the sideline, great, but I would almost rather have a 50-yard to the sideline, you know. So kind of watching some of the older vets in the league play and how they're doing, you know, and the last couple of years that I play against Tennessee, you know, we had Andre Roberts as our returner, and, you know, he's a great returner, and he'd always get frustrated playing against Tennessee because Kern just basically takes him out of the game, you know. So that's when I started thinking, like, you know, that's what I want to do. You know, I want to piss off that returner and just not let him do anything today, you know, and just kind of ruin his day is kind of my plan. So just watching him and other guys around the league, like, I want to be more of an effective punter than just a big ball punter.
So, pissing off is probably a little strong, but speaking of irritating people maybe a little bit.
Sure.
Last time we saw you,
Mm.
you told us that awesome story about asking Rodgers for the jersey,
Yeah.
which we all loved. And then we brought it up to him, and he said, he actually came up to you and said, so that's the story you're going with your first day here?
Yeah, he came over to me and said that, you know, joked about it a little bit. You know, I should have started off with that, you know, he told me I had a good game and thought I had a great mustache, because that's what kind of gave me the confidence to ask him, because I wasn't planning to originally. So I figured why not.
So he does have a track record, though, of being buddies with a bunch of the punters that have come through here. He used to Mastay a lot, but they also became really good friends. What's your interaction been with, like, him? What's your interaction been like with him since then?
Oh, good. You know, we joke about it here and there, and, you know, he's a good guy. Talk to him every time I see him.
So when you're heading out on the field with 3 seconds left to hold for a 51-yarder for
Yep.
Mason, any nerves for you in a situation like that?
No, I've done it before. My rookie year, you know, we beat Tennessee with a walk-off field goal. You know, and I think if I start thinking about it too much of like, oh, it's this or that, then that's when you start getting your mind going a little too much. So running out there, I was like, all right, we're just going to treat this like a PAT, and because I mean it's the same thing for me, you know, catch and put the ball down with the laces where Mason wants it, and so for me, you know, I just think of it like that.
Corey, after the game, Matt was quick to say, you know, Mo lost a couple people. This was a great win for him, and a couple other guys have actually brought that up unprompted. What was that like going out there and knowing what he had been through, and just in general, what's it been like getting on? Because it seems like, you know, players really.
Oh, he's a great guy, yeah. I mean, I've only been here for a couple of weeks, and he's already, you know, one of my favorite coaches that I've ever had. He works really well with specialists and what we need to do, and really supports anything that we want. But yeah, dealing with that's tough. You know, my first game playing in the NFL, actually, my great-grandma had passed away a couple of days before. And I mean, he made a good point of it in one of our pregame meetings, and was just saying, like, look, you know, while you're out there on the field, there's nothing you can do about it. You know, worrying about it doesn't change anything. You know, you can't do anything. So the best thing you can do is just basically forget about it, you know, during that 60 minutes and then figure it out after. So I think that's kind of what our approach was to not only just that, but everything anybody has going on in the outside world. You know, while you're out on that field, you just put it out of your mind, because nothing, you know, worrying isn't going to change anything about it.
What makes Mo one of your favorite coaches you've ever had?
In such a short order.
Just, you know, super nice guy, really welcoming as soon as I got here. But, you know, it's more than just like a coach-player kind of relationship, you know. He's someone, you know, I'd consider a friend, you know. He gets real personal about things and wants to get to know you, not, you know, outside of being a football player. So just seems like someone that really cares.